There is quite a lot of news about the 5th J-10 fighter today, after the J-10A fighter, J-10B fighter, J-10C fighter, and J-10S fighter. Many netizens refer to the newly appeared 5th J-10 fighter as the J-10D fighter. Of course, there are also many people holding different views. Some people think that the new J-10 fighter is not much different from the original J-10C fighter, and the overall change is too small, which can only be barely considered as the derivative model of J-10C fighter, or a small improvement model, which is not enough to be called J-10D fighter. Judging from the export situation of American F-16 fighter, it should be a customized version of J-10, specifically for the requirements of a foreign customer. In addition to the above two views, then appeared a third view. This view is more interesting. It is believed that the newly appeared 5th J-10 fighter is neither a J-10D fighter, nor a customized version of J-10 specially used for foreign trade and export, but a technology verification aircraft used to explore the possibility of subsequent upgrading of the existing J-10 fighter. From the photo, this J-10 fighter is actually modified and upgraded based on a J-10B prototype. Although the overall combat capability of the J-10B fighter is not as good as that of the J-10C fighter, its air maneuverability is not worse than that of the J-10C fighter. Therefore, the relevant units like to take the J-10B prototype to verify the relevant technology. The most typical is the previous public debut in the Zhuhai Air Show, equipped with vector thrust engine J-10B TVC technology verification aircraft. Since the J-10B TVC can be a technology demonstrator, why can't the new J-10 fighter be another technology demonstrator based on the J-10B prototype? At present, the Chinese Air Force still possesses a huge number of early type 4th generation fighters, with quite a few models, but in general they can be categorized into the J-11 series fighters and the J-10 series fighters. The former currently has about 300 of them, mainly the J-11A, J-11B, J-11BS, and J-11BSH. The Air Force will certainly not retire all of them in one go, and has now partially upgraded some of the J-11B and J-11BH fighters to the level of the J-11BG and J-11BGH, so as to be able to meet the operational needs in the new era. Why did they do this? There are still several J-7 air brigades in the Air Force, and although China has the ability to continue to magically transform the J-7 series fighters, the usefulness of the J-7 series in the new era is actually getting less and less, and it is only a matter of time before it is completely replaced by the J-10 series fighters. Although the production capacity of J-10C is not low, it is too costly and unrealistic to replace the original J-7 with J-10C and J-16. Since the 300-odd J-11 series fighters can be upgraded to meet the needs of the next Air Force, what about the 300-odd J-10ABS fighters? Just like the previous verification and modification of the J-11BG fighters by the Chinese Air Force, to upgrade and improve these 300-odd J-10ABS fighters, it is necessary to verify the relevant technology meticulously in order to carry out large-scale modernization and improvement of the fighters. The focus of the modification of these 300 J-10 fighters is actually very easy to guess, and the life extension treatment of the fuselage is definitely unavoidable. In addition to the airframe, the new airborne fire control computer, stronger battlefield data chain and glass cockpit, active phased array radar, electronic warfare equipment, and domestic high-thrust engine are also within the scope of upgrading considerations. With these modules alone, it is entirely worthwhile to dedicate a technical verification aircraft to validate them. There are two different views on the newly appeared equipment on the back of the new J-10 fighter. The first view is that it is another kind of conformal fuel tank, but after enlarging the photo, it can be found that its structure is combined with a whole vertical tail, and it does not have the possibility of quick disassembly, which also excludes the possibility of the conformal fuel tank. In fact, the second view is actually part of the first view, that is, it is considered to be a spine avionics module. Although the name is mainly electronics bay, the spine avionics bay on the IAF's F-16I fighter jets has a certain amount of space for fuel storage, which can also increase the in-flight fuel carrying capacity of the fighter jets. The original 300-odd J-10 series fighters are now facing different problems, starting with the J-10A fighter. At the time of its birth, China's national air defense capability was still relatively lacking, so the positioning of the J-10A was air defense and interception, air superiority combat capability in the first place, and air-to-ground and other multi-purpose combat capability in a secondary position. As the J-10C began to emphasize the multi-purpose combat capability, the upgrade of J-10A must also be in this direction. Therefore, the improvement of J-10A should be the biggest, because the target aircraft that the Air Force uses to measure the improvement and upgrade of J-10 series is J-10C, and the gap between J-10A and J-10C is too big. Accordingly, its modification and upgrading will also be the largest. The J-10S originally undertook certain teaching tasks, so the overall modification and upgrading of the pressure is smaller, but not no. Because with the number of high-teaching aircraft in the Chinese Air Force, the J-10S has to be modified and upgraded. With the increase in the number of high-training aircraft in the Chinese Air Force, the two-seat J-10S also needs to start strengthening its combat attributes. Of course, multi-purpose combat is also the direction of its modification and upgrade. The J-10B fighter has the least pressure to be modified and upgraded, and because it has fewer technical differences with the J-10C, it can even adopt some designs that were originally intended to be used on the J-10C, but were not. For example, the backbone avionics module that was unveiled this time can be used in the upgrade of the J-10B, directly upgrading it to a ground-licking aircraft with stronger ground attack capability than the J-10C. Of course, the two-seat version of the J-10S also has the opportunity to be converted into a ground-licking aircraft. As for the J-10A, we need to see the actual situation